The best protection any woman can have is courage. Courage comes from proper and complete knowledge. A woman is and can be more powerful when she need not depend on any other human for protection, as she has the power to protect the world, and not just herself. Hello and welcome to Rabbi Rashi Foundation. To give away such powerful knowledge, we have Ajay Ahluwalia, CEO of Blackbelt Fitness. Ajay started martial arts as early at the age of 10 with judo. He's a black belt in karate and taekwondo. He is a certified sports nutrition coach and a CPR. आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है अजय.
Hi Rashi.
Ajay, share with us your journey in short, how you've been into this and how you've been guiding and helping and coaching people with fitness and safety and security. Over to you.
Started with me because when I was a kid, I used to get bullied like mad. Yeah, I was pretty sick and quite a scrawny little poke once upon a time, right? And used to get bullied all the time. So I started learning martial arts because of that. I couldn't resist, stepping up when other guys would get bullied, and that used to obviously get me beaten up more often than not. Yeah. So martial arts helped, and what I think it did is it helped you understand a lot of things. And one of the things that you understand is that, violence is not the key. And you need to be able to get to a point where you are able to place violence in a context and avoid it as much as possible. It's very easy to get into fights, but it can lead to a lot of other things which you don't necessarily want to live with. So when we're talking about self-defense, one of the things that I'd like to present as a different angle is personal safety. See, when you talk about self-defense, one of the first things that happens, and what I've noticed over the years that we've been teaching, is that the minute you talk self-defense, people start thinking, oh, ladai jhagda hai, marna peetna hai. Yeah, and yes, self-defense does at times require you to use some amount of violence, if at all, to protect yourself or to overcome an attacker. But before that is a lot of intelligence and thought. And that's why, when I talk personal safety, the minute I say personal safety, you're not thinking violence. Yeah? The mental picture that comes to your mind is not about fighting. It's about how do I be safe? You're using your brains. And the first step to self-defense is exactly that. It's a continuum. This is your mind. This is violence or getting physical. You don't want to necessarily get physical. There are times when you have to, and you better be prepared for it. But more important than that is, how do you make steps, or what steps can you take to make sure you're safe in an increasingly unsafe world? So it's just about that.
And that's so true what you just shared, that because your childhood had some kind of bully, images in your mind, which helped you understand that it's very important to learn self-defense. And I think that is wonderful. Yeah.
One of the words that you used was courage. It does teach you courage. It does give you self-confidence. Yeah. It also helps you, be ready to stand up for what you think is right. Because that's an offshoot of self-confidence and courage, right? And both of it. It teaches you discipline. There are a lot of different attributes or values that emanate out of any martial art, especially the traditional martial art.
So what we understand, the first question is that for children who are getting bullied or who are not being actually accepted by many groups, can definitely, channelize their energy into learning self-defense at a very young age.
Everything's about the mind. It's not just about the physical part. And self-defense is great, not just for fighting, it's for helping build your mental toughness, right? The root cause of not getting accepted in different groups is, a lot of it is psychological. Why is a guy not, he's different, or she's tall, or he's short, or she's comes from this thing, or you don't speak the language as well, or you're too rich, or you're too poor, or you're too whatever. There are different reasons for people to ostracize or welcome you. And what martial arts can help do, and there are different ways to tackle different situations, but what martial arts can help do is build that toughness. It can't teach you how to talk better. It can't teach you how to do all of that stuff, the softer aspects or the more mental aspects, which come to understanding why. Yeah, but what it does do is it gives you a lot of pause for self-reflection. It helps you build more confidence in yourself and love for yourself, right? Not from an ego perspective, but from accepting you the way you are, being able to change things that you should change, right? And once you come to terms with that, it's sometimes easier to deal with different groups. Yeah, because they see that, hey, listen, you're not getting bullied, or you're not getting pushed around, or you're not getting, staggered by what they're saying, or they're calling you names, or they're teasing you, and you're not, hey, it's not affecting me. Yeah? So when they start seeing that, it suddenly makes them pause. And suddenly, slowly, it allows you to get to become friends with them if you choose to do so. So that patience, or that ability to hold your own ground, right, rather than get aggressive, that is, I think, one of the more important parts for children to be able to, or the greater value for children to gain. Exactly like what I said, self-defense, oh, it's about fighting. It's not about fighting. It's about preventing fights. It's about avoiding fights. So it's about, if you have to get into a fight, then well, how do you close it fast, and how do you try and ensure there are no repercussions, or minimize the repercussions to it. आज मैंने तेरे को पीट दिया, कल को तुम 10 बंदे और लेके आओ, मेरे को पकड़ लो, क्या होगा? It's not a continuum that you want to get into. So how do you tone things down? How do you make sure things walk away? How do you calm it? It's easy to escalate. How do you pull things down and get it to a mat, get it to an area which you can control? A fight always spirals out of control, always. So fighting is not the key. Not fighting and understanding how to control it is what's more important. But that happens when you control you. And that's one of the first things that happen with self-defense, with martial arts training for children. It teaches you to control you. I don't control me, I can't control the situation.
Yeah. Ajay, let us seek some security and safety solutions for teenagers, especially girls. Mm-hmm. Over to you.
One of the first things that happen is that you've got to use your mind, right? You've got to understand and wake up and realize that the world is not as safe. Fortunately or unfortunately, when you're younger, you see the world through a very different lens, right? Yeah. One of the first things that happens is you don't want to listen to your elders. Your parents tell you, be careful. It's like, get lost, That rebelliousness, that what do you call it? Furti jo aati hai, jawani ki, that sometimes doesn't allow you to think, and you don't have the, what do you call it, the width of experience that age brings, or the depth of experience that age brings, right? So a lot of times what happens is that you end up doing things that may not keep you in the right space that you want to be in. So the first thing that happens is to use your mind. Yeah, it is to accept that the world is not a great place or a safe place, or as safe as I'd like it to be. Again, there's a balance between being totally paranoid, yeah, and suspicious about the world and therefore evil intent everywhere, versus being in a dream zone that, oh, the world's a lovely place. So on one hand, you've got this completely negative picture. On the other hand, you've got this completely positive, unrealistic picture. And somewhere in the middle is balance. And that's another very important thing that martial arts or martial arts does teach you here, just balance. That, there is always a middle path where you have to be able to understand and take the right decision. When you're a teenager, it's very important to understand that, look, the world has got good people. The world has got bad people. Bad things do happen. Therefore, how do I be prepared for it? I don't need to be prepared to fight all the time, yeah, because there is a certain amount of dedication that you need in terms of practice, in terms of fitness, in terms of regular martial arts or self-defense classes. So fighting is one part of it, right? And the more you do know, the more it makes you more confident, the more spin-offs there are, yeah, in terms of your own personal fitness, your own mental confidence, your personality development, in terms of different things, yeah, but that's one part of it. There are three possible situations: at home, transit, when you're out of the home, and destination. That destination can be the marketplace, it could be a friend's house, your relative's house, or wherever you are going, or it could be an office, for example. Right? Now, what you've got to understand is that, look, the minute I leave my door, right, anything can happen. There could be a guy standing outside the door. So if I haven't told people at home where I'm going, and I step out of the house, right, nobody knows what happens to me. Therefore, it's not about control or rebellion. It's not about telling your parents, that, hey, listen, you don't need to be worried about me. I'm grown up. Yes, you are grown up. But if something were to happen, and it doesn't necessarily need to be something like this, let's suppose a car hits you. You're not carrying any ID, right? And you're taken to the hospital. Nobody knows where you are and who you are. Your phone gets stolen. What happens? You're unconscious. Nobody knows where you've gone. And that's also part of personal safety, and that's the reason why I'm addressing that again. Let's talk about personal safety. How do I keep myself safe? So it's important that the minute you step out of the house, it's important that people should know where you're going and what direction and where you're supposed to reach. And therefore, if you haven't reached, so let's suppose I'm coming up to meet you. I'm a young girl and I'm coming to meet you, right? And I've left the house. Uh, you know that I may or may not turn up. I may change my mood last minute. I disappear somewhere else, right? So you're not necessarily going to expect me or get worried if I don't turn up. And that's the first problem. Now, people at home don't know where I've gone. You may or may not know that I'm definitely going to come to you, and you may not even get panicked, if I don't turn up. Therefore, what happens is something happens to me in this interim. Neither are you going to call me, neither are my parents going to know where I am. You see, so that interval period becomes long, and that causes danger. Therefore, it's important for us to be very clear about, hey, listen, if I'm leaving home, somebody needs to know where I'm going. If I'm not back, or if I haven't called, or if I'm not in touch within XYZ time, this is what you do. And therefore, this is where I'm going. And this is how I'm going. And if there's any plan change, I need to communicate it to somebody who will take some corrective action in case I don't turn up. Then, of course, there are lots of other things. Before you open the door, just check, you have a keyhole. Just look outside and see if there's somebody there. When you step out, first look around. When you get out of the gate, most of homes in India especially, you have the dhobis, you have watch guards, you have people all around, you've got the sabji wala, you've got the cobbler, the mochi, you've got the chai guy standing somewhere around. Most of these people, because they stay where they are, they may not be good people, but you don't know who they talk to, you don't know who their friends are, you don't know who's sitting there watching you. So it's important for you when you step out to be able to take a quick glance around and notice who's there, who's not. Never walk on the same side of the road as traffic is flowing. So, for example, in India, we drive on the left-hand side of the road. Don't walk on the left-hand side. Walk facing traffic. It doesn't mean people can't follow you or people can't walk on the same side. Yes, but you're more likely to see them because there are less people walking in the wrong way, or in the wrong side of the road. It just keeps you more on your toes. It allows you to spot danger from a distance, right? So there's small, simple things like this. When you're stepping out, make sure you don't make a habit of stepping out at the same time, take the same route. Because people are keeping watch. The other day, something happened. The guy was saying, oh, the dhobi was telling me, that, aap to 9 baje nikal jate ho na. And that lady is telling me this, and I said, yeah, as well, I told you. This is what happens. They know. And if somebody is talking to them, it's such a, ye kaun hai? Acha, wo B 301 mein rehte hain. Now the guy knows who you are, he knows where you stay, and he knows what time you go, simply by chatting up the dhobi, right? So it's very important for us as people, individuals, whether you're working, whether you're a teenager or anyone else, to understand that, look, you've got to protect yourself from possible danger. And the possible danger starts the minute you leave the door. Ensure people know where you're going, ensure that you're walking on the outside, ensure you use different times, and don't have a set pattern, because the more or the easier pattern that you have, or the easier to spot pattern that you have, the easier it is for anybody to get to you, right? Don't talk to strangers and things like that. When people come up, doesn't mean that you shouldn't help them. But if somebody comes up, sometimes what happens is people come up to help, and we're Indians, we like to help people, and it's not our nature to really turn around and be suspicious. No, I won't talk to you. You do see weird people like that, but you, at the same time, you see, we call them weird people, right? Because we're so used to helping people. We're warm people, right? But when you're doing this, you've got to be paying attention. Is there another car nearby? Are there lots of people? Who's standing there? Are there women present? Are there guys? Is there a guy coming here to distract you? And are there other people with them? Is it a woman, and therefore is there another guy standing with the woman? It doesn't mean that all women are innocent or all guys are bad, right? You have bad women, you've got good guys, and you have bad guys, So it's very important to do all this. Now, a lot of this is practice, But these are small steps that you start taking, and it's all here. Remember, we're not fighting, we're just paying attention. It's called situational awareness. It's being aware of my surroundings. Now, you'll see a lot of kids, girls, boys, wearing the earphones and walking around, right? Now, the minute I'm wearing this, I've got this in my ear, I've already blocked off sound. I have no idea there's somebody standing behind me. Also because I'm paying attention to the music or whatever it is I'm looking at on my phone or whatever. And I'm paying less attention to what's around. That's the biggest sign of danger, right? Because the minute you're doing this, you're a sitting target, right? So things like this are just important. It's about paying attention. It's about being aware. It's about thinking through, hey, listen, I'm going to the market. What kind of clothes should I wear? What kind of people turn up there? What happens on the way to, yes, if you, one of the issues that happen with kids, and especially with young girls, is that, hey, listen, I have the freedom to wear whatever I want to. Yes, you do have the freedom, right? But along with the freedom comes a certain sense of responsibility to yourself. It's like this. Would I wear if I was a young girl, and I'm not, but if I was, would I wear a mini skirt and high heels if I was going for a trek in the jungle where there are likely to be lions and tigers and snakes? I have the freedom to wear it, but would I be intelligent enough or would I be stupid if I were to do that? Whether we like it or not, a lot of the world that we live in is a jungle. Yeah, different kind of animals, but they're there all the same, and some of them are very dangerous. If I'm going to a place where I know that, hey, listen, the environment is going to be cool, right? Yeah. Then go ahead and do whatever you want, right? But if you're going out and you're not going to be ready mentally to handle what kind of stuff happens. So, okay, let's say I wear whatever I want and I go out and some guy Eve teases me. Now, there are three things that can happen. I can get angry and I can get into a violent situation. I can get scared and start crying and feel devastated about it. Or I can be self-confident and walk on and ignore it, right? What are the three things that are going to happen, right? Or the fourth thing happens that, hey, listen, I know I don't even want to get into that kind of territory. I don't want to deal with this shit, right? Therefore, let me be sensible. And this is the kind of stuff where I go there and do it. Uh, One of the things I advise a lot of women to do is that, let's say you're going to a party and you're driving out at night, right? You're going in your car. But from the house to wherever you're going is the road. You can have it could be late night. You could be in the middle of nowhere. You could have a flat tire. Anything can happen. You don't know who's going to be there to help you or who's not and who might come up your way. Therefore, wear a loose t-shirt over whatever you're wearing, right? Wear loose slacks and wear running shoes, right? Or a simple slip-on flat shoes. Get there, take it off, and guess what? You're good to go. Have a party. Come back, do the same thing. What it does do is it doesn't attract attention to you. Tomorrow, and second thing that happens is that if something does happen, an incident that you've not planned for, you're better able to deal with it. Simply because you don't know who's going to be on the road. Yeah. In an ideal situation, would we need to worry about this? No, yeah. Yeah. Ideally, I would like my daughter, or I'd like my sister, or I'd like my wife, or my mother, or anyone to go out fearlessly, But we don't live in that world, and you just want to ensure that you can do whatever you can to keep people safe, and they have to do whatever they can to keep themselves safe. Just that. Many tips. This is just one small little bit.
The key word is awareness, how aware you are.
And thinking it through in advance. It just takes you, 2 or 3 minutes, yeah? And not even that. By and large, over a period of time, this is so unconscious. It's just second nature, right? It just happens simultaneously. When somebody comes, okay, who's around? It's done in seconds, right?
Absolutely wonderful, Ajay.